host of the Gridiron.
Well, the possible problem, hopefully not, but possible problem, all right, with drafting a quarterback and having a bridge quarterback, all right, if the Giants go next season. And, once again, I mean, the thing is that, so there's been some movement in the Georgia quarterback. I think now transferred to Miami, so he's not coming out in the draft. But then there's somebody else who is coming out in the draft, and so so we're starting to get a little clearer picture on who the quarterbacks obviously are, who will be in the draft and everything. But you still got a long way to go. Long way to go. You got the East-West, you got the Senior Bowl, the East-West, I guess East-West Shrine Game, I believe it is. Then you obviously got the Combine, you got the Pro Day workouts. Then, see that stuff you can see, and there's all kinds of coverage on that stuff and everything. A lot of stuff you don't. Two things you don't see or you won't know about will be the medicals. Nobody sees that, right? The teams see the medicals if there are any issues or anything like that, right? So they can certainly make a decision on that. But also, the sit downs, the conversations that they have, and everything like that you don't see, right? But we got what do we got? The Combine is the end of next month, I believe it is. We've got free agency, right, in March. So, and we're unbelievable as it is, we're almost halfway through January, right? Crazy as it is, crazy. But where the Giants are picking at third, right? Now, right, with Sean Watson tearing his ACL. That's just unbelievable. That's a story. I mean, that's a story in itself right there. But so now you're not sure what the Browns are going to do. I mean, they might be leaning maybe now more maybe toward, right, trying to get a quarterback, possibly. You're not sure what the Titans are going to do, right? But the thing is that you hear a lot about is that it might be a reach. Might be, right, from people you hear and all and everything, to take a quarterback this low in the draft in the first round, right? The thing to do is, you're trying to take the best player available. You're trying to take, who is worthy of, for the Giants anyway, of the number 3 overall pick. You don't want to take a quarterback. Well, I mean, he's close to being a first round grade. I mean, that's good enough for me. I mean, he might be like early second round, but I mean, early second round is basically a first rounder. And if he's basically almost a first rounder, I don't see why we can't take him at number 3. No, can't do that. You got to take somebody, who you envision. I don't know how many gold jacket guys there are in this draft coming out, but that's what Gettleman said when he was talking about pick number 2. Now, if Saquon led his whole career with the Eagles, you could just turn your head toward Canton, and they'd be carving out Saquon Barkley's bust in Canton right now as we speak, because it'd be just a matter of time for it. Right? But unfortunately for him, he played with the Giants now. I mean, if he plays 3-4 years with the Eagles and he gets 87,000 yards rushing, and of course he doesn't get injured like what he did with the Giants, and he goes to the Eagles and somehow he stays healthy, unbelievable. But if he bangs out 2,000-yard season the next 2 or 3, maybe he does go to Canton. Who knows, right? But what Gettleman was saying when we had pick number 2 is you envision somebody, right, going with a jacket, gold jacket. So, when you're picking this low in the draft, you want somebody who's going to make an impact, right? Now, I don't know if, obviously, only Shane and Dable and company are going to know that, right? Just obviously they're still around. They ain't going nowhere. If they don't feel that one is worthy of the both number 3 overall pick. Now we're looking at a second round, maybe Jalen Milroe if he makes it that far. Who knows? Or maybe one of these other guys that comes out. Right? There's quite a few. I mean, guys will be taken in the second or third round. Right? And maybe try to develop them. Right? And then, of course, then you get your bridge quarterback. Right? Now, there's going to be quite a few options out there, bridge quarterback. There's the big, and there's always stories. That's what you love about football, right? There's always stories like what's going on with Minnesota. I mean, they got 3 quarterbacks, right? I mean, one of them's Daniel Jones, but Sam Darnold looking really, really good. They got J.J. McCarthy. They got Daniel Jones. Now, the interesting thing is, what's going to happen next season? Are they going to, they're going to keep 2 of them? They're going to, who they're going to keep, who they're going to let go, well, whatever. But Aaron Rodgers could be available. Justin Field. I mean, it's a bunch of guys, right? Sam Darnold, right? There could be quite a few guys available. Who knows? Russell Wilson could be. You don't know. You don't know what the Steelers are going to do, right? So there's a bunch of guys that are going to be available. Now, you don't know. Obviously, we're going to bring somebody in for maybe sign for a 2-year contract, right? Try to, we draft this quarterback, just saying, throwing out there, Jalen Milroe in the second round. That's all I'm saying, right? Draft him in the second round. We're going to, Shane Dable's going to try to develop him, right? And we bring in Justin Fields for 2 years, right? Maybe he can get out after 1 year. You sign it for 2, whatever. 2 years, $50 million, $25 million guaranteed, right? So what you do is you pay him the $25 million all up front or in the first year or whatever it is. So the second year you can get out basically without having to pay much of anything, right? The problem with that is that, or especially if you wind up signing a quarterback, your bridge quarterback to maybe 3 years or something like that, right? Like maybe if we were to bring Sam Darnold in, maybe he thinks that he's earned, right, a little bit longer of a contract. Look what I did with Minnesota. We did some pretty good things this year. I want at least a 3-year contract. Well, maybe if they were to bring him in, right? You bring Sam Darnold in, sign him for 3 years, you can get out after 2, right? And I said, then you got Jalen Milroe, right? If you don't take one of these guys up high, which might be a reach, which you don't want to do. So then you got your quarterback of the future, right, with Milroe, and then you got your bridge quarterback. Now the problem is that sometimes what's it saying? Sometimes the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray, or something like that. Or you can that's what we're going to do, and of course, as we've seen the last couple of seasons with the Giants, right, just go down the dumper, and just say that the problem, right, we're bringing in a bridge quarterback and having him for a couple of years, and then drafting a quarterback is if things go south, right? Because we've seen that happen. A lot of it's something's got to do with injuries, right? But if the Giants wind up going in the dumper once again, and then toward the end of the season, right, the planes start flying over MetLife Stadium. They got that banner hanging on the end. Last couple home games in MetLife Stadium, place is half empty. Or the last game of the season we're playing against the Eagles, right? Because it seems like now it'd be, was it 2022 we played them in Philly, 2023 we played the Eagles in MetLife Stadium, 2024 we played them in Philly. So apparently, I guess every now, I guess for the next 300 million years we're going to play in the Eagles. I guess the final game of the season. But I mean, a lot of games toward the end of the season start not becoming sellouts. People start walking with bags on their heads. The banners start flying over MetLife Stadium with the planes and all of that. Things go south, which they could, right? Mara also said, I'm starting to lose my patience, right? If we have 2 seasons with bags on heads, empty seats, banners flying, planes flying over the state and all that stuff and everything, we're whatever. We have 2 wins, 3 wins toward the end once again. Now, I don't, he cleared house with McAdoo, right? Might he do the same thing with Shane and or Dable, right? Interesting. Then the problem with that would be if the Giants just went and spent like a second round pick on a quarterback of the future, and then if they have a bridge quarterback maybe for a couple years, I don't know if they would sign him for 3 years or so, but but if you have a quarterback, you're paying money there, and a quarterback of the future, and then all of a sudden you just let the coach go and all that. Now you got to bring somebody in, right? And it's always the problem. Vrabel, okay, just went with the Patriots, but it seems like they got themselves a quarterback. Okay, seems like they got themselves a quarterback of the future, right? As of right now, it seems like they do, right? But the Giants, have to bring in a new coach, new coaching staff, and all that, and the guys are not established, right? Meaning the quarterbacks and all and everything, and they bring a new regime in and everything like that. One of the first things they do is they go and they look at the roster and say, they got some good guys here, but those aren't my quarterbacks. So what are they going to do, right? Are they going to, the bridge quarterback you have, are they going to try to shoo him out the door and bring somebody else in? They just spent the second round pick on Jalen Milroe. Are they going to give him a fair opportunity, a fair chance to make the right, or are they going to, in their first chance they get, like in next season's draft, right, come out and draft a quarterback? Then you might have a bridge quarterback. You might have Jalen Milroe. You might have things are that bad. You can have Jalen Milroe. You can have Sam Darnold. Then you can draft Archie Manning, right? I mean, So then you got your bridge quarterback. Are you going to keep him around? Are you going to let him go and wind up maybe having to pay the guy some dead cap money because you don't want to let him go? Are you going to give Jalen Milroe a fair chance, or are you just going to keep him sitting on the bench, right? After you just spend a second round pick to get the guy, right? And then you draft Archie Manning or whoever if you things go bad. So, they're at a, it's a tough, because they've been there for 3 years, right? The noose around their neck is starting to get a little tight. They don't have much slack, right? They're running out of time, right? They got to really start making things happen. I mean, if they spend all this time, the money, the draft capital to bring quarterbacks in and stuff like that, and things go south as they can. We've seen that with the Giants. It could really, once again, and if they let him go, bring a new regime in here, we could be looking at, I don't want to say. I mean, I guess maybe in a way having too many quarterbacks is, at least you get your pick of the litter. But you can see with a new regime would come in, they would turn and look at the roster, and it's like, well, these aren't my quarterbacks. That's the problem with them, because I mean, now they'll be heading into the year 4 for Dable, and he still doesn't have his quarterback. He spent 3 years with Daniel Jones, and he's trying to mold him and make him into what he would kind of hope and pray would be, but it never worked out. So that's the problem. I mean, that could be a huge problem. I mean, you think, we can draft a quarterback, everything's just going to be hunky-dory. I mean, you see how bad things went this year. Same thing happens next year. How will they even make it to the end of the season? So that's one of the many problems, especially, bringing in a bridge quarterback and drafting a quarterback too. I mean, especially if you draft a quarterback, would he even get a fair chance? Right, because if a new regime comes in and they're like, well, we don't, I never liked Jalen Milroe coming out. We want to get somebody. I mean, so, or what it could wind up being would be maybe even worse, right? Would be the new regime comes in and they give Jalen Milroe a chance, and he doesn't work out. They give Jalen Milroe 2 years and it doesn't work out. Well, now and the Giants are still struggling. Well, now you got a new regime there. They got Jalen Milroe, and he's now maybe for whatever reason he's not working out. They got to get rid of him, bring in their own quarterback, and start this all crap all over again. So now the new regime could be into their third or their fourth season, and they still haven't had their quarterback. We're doing the whole same thing all over again. So Man, it just goes to show you how you can see you screw up like one time and it's just knocking all the dominoes over, and you could be screwed for years. So let's hope the Giants get this right going forward.